There's Joel Brooks. How are you, Pastor?
Hey, Paul.
Good to see you, man. I was
Hey,
just,
good to see you also.
I was just filling time with the story of Brian Houston comes on. He's on Instagram, the whole IG live thing.
Yeah.
The other day. And, and he's punching his phone, and he's looking at you and punching it and going, let me see it. You know how Brian talks. Let me see how this works.
Yeah, right. That's funny.
Goes, Judah Smith's on there. Boom, he hits it. And Judah comes on. And then Judah goes, man, Bishop, I can't believe I got you. And so he starts asking him questions. And finally, Brian goes, Judah, you're on my Instagram. You're asking me questions, but you're on my Instagram.
Right.
And Judah goes, yeah, but when do you ever get that opportunity? And that was fantastic talking about Brian Houston was because he walked over to his bookshelf and he has, I don't know if you have this, but I don't. He has in one shelf every Bible he's ever owned since he was 16 years old.
Oh, no, I wish. I've usually given mine away. And I regret it.
Isn't that something?
A couple of the guys didn't do so well. And so I'm like, can I get my Bible back?
Get my Bible back. Yeah. You're going away for 7 years. Can I get my Bible while you're gone?
Right.
Dude, man.
Yep.
Joel, you are one of the most unique and creative thinkers I've ever met in my life. And
thank you. That's a real compliment. Thank you.
Well, that remains to be seen how much of a compliment. We'll check that out in the next few minutes. But
right.
But I can't tell you how many times I've called you. We've talked about culture, things going on, and you've said something that's absolutely just opened a whole new area for me.
Okay.
And but I got this book the other day.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Manpower.
Right.
And you're in this book. This was written in 1996.
Wow.
And came out in 97, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look over here. Thomas Nelson Publishers. And my father, Dr. Ed Cole, 1997 is when it came out. 96, we did an event. My father put an event together called New Revival in America. And he said the coming revival in America is going to come through the Black American churches.
Wow.
And every author on here and did the event, and then Christian Men's Network put out a book called Manpower.
Right.
And in this book is Dale Bronner, A.R. Bernard, A.C. Green, Ben Kinchlow, James Meeks, Dwight Pate, Joseph Ripley, Mike Singletary, Gilbert Thompson, Clinton Utterback, and Joel Brooks. And I think this thing might be as relevant, if not more so today than it was even then.
Wow, yeah. I remember that, man.
And in AR's chapter is, do we need a women's movement?
Right. Wow.
His most recent books have had to do with relationships. And Eddie Long did his testimony in here.
Right.
We should probably republish that. It's one of the most powerful testimonies I've ever heard in my life. You remember his testimony?
Yeah.
How he had to change his name and his identity from Eddie Long to become Eddie Long. And of course, since has gone to be with the Lord. I remember the last text he sent me was about 2 weeks before he passed away. And he said, your dad would be so proud of you.
Oh man, that's awesome.
He was a gracious man.
Yeah.
Joel Brooks, you pastored a church called Stones in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Right.
You actually matriculated as a young man. You were a musician.
Right.
Very involved, played keyboards, played with some well-known groups, right?
One well-known group and one well-known person.
Yeah, who was that?
The person is Narada Michael Walden. He was producer of the year. I can't remember the year. He was the ASCAP writer of the year.
Wow.
He did Whitney Houston. He did Mariah Carey.
Wow.
He did. Yeah, he did. Who's the guy who sings like Ray Charles? Let's see. He did Kenny G.
Are you talking about like Phil Driscoll?
No. He wasn't in the Christian world. Narda's a Hindu. Okay. He's a Hindu guy. He had me meditating with Sri Chinmoy, John McLaughlin. I don't know if you know about him, a guitar player, and then Santana. Santana was one of his devotees. This was right before I became a Christian.
Wow.
So I was out in Queens meditating.
Really? What do you meditate on in Queens, man? No, shout out to the Dursos and all our friends there.
Yeah, right.
Josh Kelsey and all, but and then you played with a group, right?
Junior Walker and the All-Stars.
Junior Walker and the All-Stars. Their famous hit, his famous hit was Shotgun.
Shotgun, What Does It Take? He had a bunch of them, yeah.
Roadrunner.
Can
you still play that?
Huh?
You can still play that probably, can't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that stuff gets in you. He was an amazing
became a follower
player.
of Christ and pastor of a very significant church. And your what you do influences hundreds of pastors across the nation.
Thank
you
you,
have
man.
that kind of bearing, and your church is called Stones Church. I want to get into that in just a minute because that's
for sure.
Story. Why did you call the church Stones? Because you changed the name 2 years ago.
Maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah,
been 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah,
well, time flies when you're having a good time, man.
Oh, absolutely, man.
It just feels like a couple of years, but and then you're married and you have 8 children.
8 kids. Yep.
And that's
three of mine biologically. My wife had 3 when we met.
Right.
And we've adopted 2 kids.
And that's a fascinating story too. So why don't I get into all that?
Okay.
And so Joel, I appreciate you hanging out with me. You got a few minutes because each of these things is going to take a little bit.
Yeah, not a problem, man. I'm here.
One of the things that and you're on the board with Christian Men's Network. So you speak into this, and you have for over 2 decades now.
Right.
Spoken into the life of this organization, and really as a like I said, a thought leader. And one of my mentors, Dennis Peacock, says this. He says, ideas have consequences.
Okay, good. That's good, man.
And so the fact is you're a person who thinks deeply, and you've built a large multicultural church there in Kalamazoo and another one there in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Minister a lot into youth, people in the margins, but also the executive suite. So you've moved, between the whole realm, if you will. So let me ask you something. How do you end up calling a church Stones?
Yeah, we were Christian Life Center before, which is a nice neutral name for a church, Christian Life Center. And so what I began to think about is that there was a couple things on my mind. One was the seeming neutrality of the church. Your dad taught us that culture was the culprit, okay? And that churches have gathered around culture more so than vision, than a Bible worldview. We have this nation where that has a lot of problems, but you free here. You can pursue whatever's in your heart here in the United States. And so, but there's, how can I say it? There are things, there are bodies, there are entities that hate our freedom.
Yeah.
And I think it's a spiritual thing. And I see these freedoms under assault.
Yeah. And
nobody's saying anything except fringe guys. The guys with all the influence have kind of built their churches on a model of being neutral. Okay. And so I'm saying, I get that. And I pastor a decent sized church. I want to pastor a really, really large church. So I get, I'm not your enemy. I'm not a small church guy against large churches, but I'm I'm wondering what we do, because the enemy is not looking to coexist with us. He's looking to take over.
Okay.
And
so that right there shifts everything. This is not, hey, you just take your little piece, I'll take my piece. The enemy is not trying to coexist with Christian culture or alongside it. It wants to wipe it out.
It wants to wipe it out. See, and so every battle for me is over the word. Okay. And so they need to shut the word down in order to shut us down.
Wow.
See, and so if we can't preach the word with freedom, then the church is marginalized. You know, we become underground. We become an underground church. And so, you know, you have the gay rights movement on one hand, and then you have this, what I'm going to call socialism on the other hand, which has seriously infected our education system. Okay. So when you begin to talk about the institutions that shape who we are, there's a breakdown in the family. Okay. There's what I would call, and I'm kind of extreme, but there's sort of an antichrist spirit in the schools. It teaches atheism, and atheism is a religion. Okay. You know, to not have a religious view is like not having weather.
Right. It's impossible.
It's impossible. You
have a viewpoint.
No, go on. Even if you doubt his existence, that's your religious view. If you don't believe that God exists, that's your religious view. And so how can I say it? In direct conflict with our Constitution, we have basically taught people that there is no God, that they are a highly developed animal. Okay. And so you have that assault on one hand, that there is no God. And then on the other hand, you have this assault against the boundaries, the design, the patterns of God. Okay. And the whole aim is to totally get rid of God's fingerprint on society. And so to have no boundaries, to have nothing, you know, why can't, you know, love is love, people are people, why can't, you know, and using that as a disguise to really dismantle society as it is. And so,
this is not a new attack. This is not something new. We saw this in the 60s.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
In the 70s.
Yeah. And so
it keeps coming from different angles.
Right. Okay. See, and wisdom is concerned with the end of the thing. Okay. And so you start out wanting me to be tolerant. You start out wanting me to be neutral. But all the while, your aim is to re-educate my kids, is to re-educate society, is to change the culture so that it's, because culture, to me, is an ecosystem of values. Okay. In other words, a value will live or die based upon the culture. Okay. Right. And so we have a value of men leading and being responsible. See what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, that's not that's that's hyper masculinity. That's toxic masculinity.
Yeah. So culture. It gets labeled something.
See, and we've allowed the other side to control the narrative.
Wow.
You know? And so I start out, you know, you want me to be tolerant about people who feel they have a different sexual orientation, but then it ends up with boys racing against girls in girls' track.
Yeah.
But you didn't tell me that 20 years ago.
No, you just wanted me to be tolerant.
You just wanted me to let my defenses down. See, and the next thing I know, I'm dealing with this aggressive thing who is eventually, you know, because one of the things that we want to be is we want to be cool. You know, so I preach in jeans. We want to be relevant, but there's coming a time, Paul, when to be cool is to have gay small groups, is to do gay marriages. And so at some point, the church has to say, okay, man, you know, it stops here, and we have to be controversial.
Are you saying that the line has to be drawn somewhere?
Absolutely. Yeah, it has to be drawn, and I have to be willing to be uncool. I have to be willing to be controversial. I actually have to be willing to lose people who came to me because I was cool and now I'm not cool anymore because now I'm not marrying certain people. I don't have,
well, our friend Harry Jackson found that out.
Wow. Yeah, I know Harry. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did he go through? What did he experience?
Well, when the president, the previous president, came out on gay marriage, and he said, we're not doing that here. And he's got a church right there in the middle of Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And people said, you can't, you're a Black American. You can't go through against the Black American president.
Right.
So it became about personality rather than truth.
Right. Right. Symbols over substance.
Wow.
And so, Harry, myself, quite a few others probably lost a lot of people because it seemed as if we weren't pro-Black. Okay. And so, but that's a hit. That's a hit I got to take. Okay. Because if God is pleased with me, I can do anything.
So that's why. So, okay. So let's go back.
Okay.
You named the church Stones.
Yeah. Well, what I was thinking.
What were you going for there? I mean.
Yeah. What I was thinking is in that sense, I want a church with balls. I want a church with gonads. and I'm looking to put that in the name. And that's a controversial, but I think that's what women want out of men. I think they want some backbone, man. There's
women want men that are consistent, decisive, and strong.
There you go, man. I love it. Yeah. Consistent, decisive, and strong. And so here we are, the church. We're called to lead. Okay. And we've taken this neutral position, which means on one hand, you become cool with everybody, but on the other hand, you've abdicated leadership.
Yeah. Okay.
Because there's a lot of people in the middle who are waiting for leadership. I got pastors who can't wait to get back in their building. And I'm like, guys, the world is falling apart and there's no leadership. And you want to get back to having church services in a building. It's like you're totally missing the moment. You want to go back to what's comfortable to you. You miss hugging people, you miss shaking hands. But the purpose of a wilderness is to change your values.
Wow.
See? And so God said, I brought you through this wilderness that you might learn what's important. The man does not live by this, but he lives by this. Now, I don't believe that God is behind the virus, but we're in a wilderness. We're in chaos. The purpose of chaos is a new order. And so I have guys resisting. No, it's not going to be a new normal. I don't like that term. They're forcing that new normal term on us. And I'm like, guys, they're right. It's never going to be the same.
No, it's fundamentally changed.
It's fundamentally changed. Yeah. See? Yep. And so I said, we need a church that will stand up, take the hit, but at the same time, give people a choice. Okay. At least there needs to be a couple voices out there that gives them another way to think. See, and so in the name of me really growing my church and being neutral, I'm going to wind up with losing my church. I'm going to lose my Christian freedom. I'm going to lose my church because it's going to become, for me to keep it, it's going to become something that's inconsistent with my values. Yeah, it's almost like you're being forced to fight. It's like a bully, and you're in a corner, and you're like, man, look, you keep to yourself, I keep to myself. No, I want your books, I want your lunch money. I'm going to grab your girlfriend. I'm going to violate her. I'm going to do all this stuff, and you just comply. You just submit.
Yeah,
because it's your existence I hate. I want your space. I'm not going to do a different church over here. No, I want yours. It's a spiritual thing. See, and so I'm saying, come on, guys, let's stand up and let's stand against this stuff.
That reminds me of there was so much celebration. President Trump did this rally up in Tulsa.
Yeah.
And so a whole bunch of the K-pop, crew and TikTok crew came together and I guess they had some sort of registration. So they registered 800,000 people or something.
Oh, is that where that came from?
Yeah. And so then a bunch of people who wanted to go couldn't go because it was over registered.
Wow.
And so they celebrated, this big victory that they kept 5,000 people from going to that rally. And I look at it as I go, that's just rude. It's just, and then they celebrate it. So my thing is, listen, here's the deal. If you're concerned about that, then go spend $180,000 renting your own stadium.
Yeah.
Do your own deal.
Do your own deal. Yeah.
But the spirit of that is not, I'm going to spend the money to do my own deal and live concurrently. It's, I want to destroy what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Regardless of how you feel about him as a man or whatever, regardless of the politics of it.
Yeah.
I want to just destroy what you're trying to do.
Right.
Rather than trying to build something new. That's a spirit of anarchy.
It is. And with Christians, it's almost like, okay, I've got on shorts. I'm in a ring. I just heard a bell go off. Somebody just hit me. Hey, man, you're in a fight. I don't know what you thought it was, but this is a battle, And so I've taken a different approach to it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm calling out Black Christian Democrats. And I'm saying to them, you are the most powerful voting bloc on earth. You choose the leader of the free world. Okay. Wow. And so why don't you hold them accountable? Because everything on their platform works against you. Okay. Abortion kills millions of Black babies.
275 a day.
Yeah. And we've gone from the number one minority group to number two. And if we keep on, because we're not advancing in numbers. Okay. So I'm not saying become pro-life. I'm saying just take it off the table. That's what's dividing the nation. When I think about the nation coming together, that's the non-negotiable is abortion. Just take it off the table. Let the states fight for it. So you understand what I'm saying? We need school choice. Okay. COVID came, Paul. And in the neighborhood where my church is, you know what the concern was?
What's that?
Not how we're going to educate them, but how we're going to feed them.
How we're going to feed them.
Because they get their food at school.
Yeah. No, we've got, I studied this out, talked with Michael Phillips about it the other day, who's on the State Board of Education here in Maryland, pastors a great church there in Baltimore. And we talked about, I got into food deserts. And just where I live in the Fort Worth area, we've got 11 zip codes that are food deserts, which means you don't have fresh food within 1.5 miles of where you live.
Okay.
Which means then that everything you get is high sodium, high nitrate, canned, all that sort of thing. And they've traced that back to the thinning of the cortex, which means your short-term memory, which is the frontal cortex, your short-term ability to pull back memory is inhibited because it's a thinner cortex.
Wow. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a Harvard Medical School study, which means that you can't sit down and take a test as well as the kid next to you who is fully fed because you're malnourished. And you can't remember quickly. Now, you know it. Yeah. You're not a smart person.
Yeah.
I mean, you've schooled me on this. Some of the greatest entrepreneurs in America are moving drugs through the streets of America.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we've got a little over 21 million malnourished children under the age of 21 and under. So I'd say children, but it's teens and 21 million malnourished young people in the poor areas. Now this cuts across every ethnicity. Right. But it does mean that your lower socioeconomic group, for instance, in Los Angeles, they said with COVID-19, if you're in a 30% poverty rate or higher, if you're in an area that's 30% poverty rate or higher, your ability to withstand COVID and your percentage or odds of dying is 300% greater than a person who doesn't live here.
Wow.
So that's just that, not including education, jobs, future.
Right.
You know, so these things, you know, when you're talking about that, these are real things. Education, me, is one of the huge pieces. There's no reason, you know, I think about this, Joel. I think about it all the time. There's no reason that in a nation like America, United States, that we should have 21 million malnourished kids.
Absolutely. It's crazy.
There's no reason that kids shouldn't be educated. Yeah.
It's really, you wonder if it's an accident. You actually wonder, because it's like, if I can't feed myself, then something went wrong with my education. Okay. But rather than fight for kids, we fight for systems.
Wow.
See, because every organization eventually exists to exist. Okay. You know, it's like we started out wanting to educate kids, but now we want to be in charge of the money that's directed to educate kids.
Because we set up a program, a system, which became an entity.
Yeah.
To educate kids. Now we're fighting for the entity.
Yeah. Rather than fighting for the kids.
The union or the program or the whatever it is.
What if I had a built-in, you know, 5,000 to 6,000 people in my city had to go to my church? They had no choice.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I'd get lazy. You know what I'm saying? Because it's built in, you know, and then whatever I teach them is what they're going to be, what they're going to know. And so the fact that other churches are in town is something I think about. I'm not competitive. I'm not competing with them, but I do know people have choices. Okay. And so there's thousands of people who ride by my church someplace else every day. And so I want to be good. I want to be excellent. I want to be fresh. I want to be sharp, you know, because they don't have to come. It's a choice. It's not built in. See, and so, but we have this thing that really shapes the minds of our kids.
Education,
and there's no competition, and they fight competition. And so, for years, I've believed that education will be primarily online, just from an expense standpoint. Okay, I asked the former superintendent here, I said, what's your two biggest expenses? He said, teachers, their retirement, you know, so payroll, retirement, and brick and mortar. And I said, that's the three things you don't need today. You don't need them at all. You know, and it's funny how the cheese will move, but we don't. Like I'm telling pastors, and I'm doing it too, because my people want to see our church, you know what I'm saying, while I'm online teaching them. But we're preaching in empty buildings. I said, one of these days we're going to look back on that and say, man, we actually went to an empty building and preached. There's nobody there to go online, you know? And so everybody gets it, but schools, education, and the church. Okay. Wow. Educators were forced online by COVID, right? But they still kept the same model. Okay. They still kept, you know, one teacher per 25. I mean, online, you can have one teacher per 25,000.
Wow.
And so when I was telling him this, the superintendent, he said, no, but there's nothing like that face being right there, you know, and I'm like, hey, people don't care, man. They'll text you and you're sitting at the same table. I mean, life is being done on this phone. Yeah. People are not looking for face-to-face anymore. It's being done right here. And Amazon gets it. Uber gets it. Airbnb gets it. And they have disrupted whole industries. I'm not saying there are no cabs. Okay, I'm just saying running taxis is different now because of Uber, Lyft. So hotels haven't disappeared, but they've been disrupted. Okay, Stores haven't disappeared. You can still go to a store, but life is very different for them now. Ask Kmart. You know what I'm saying? Ask Macy's. Okay, life is very different now because of this disruptive thing that has happened, just because we have direct access. You know, I've been the speaker at 3 churches Sunday morning, and I've never left home. Okay.
You told me what tweaked me about 2 years ago. You just bent me up. You said the largest taxi company in the world doesn't own any cars.
Oh, doesn't own any cars. The largest hotel chain has no buildings. The largest photograph company takes no pictures. The largest media company in the world generates no media, Facebook. Okay. And you can go on and on, you know. And so things have shifted, but we got forced into it. I mean, think about it. Yeah. Paul, you can be my Sunday morning speaker anytime, any Sunday. Yeah. No airplanes, no hotels, no going out to dinner afterwards, which is probably what we'll miss.
Well, yeah, that's there's an issue right there. Now, okay. So we have done, Judy and I, and we have done sat down at dinner with friends of ours.
Yeah.
On FaceTime.
Yeah.
Now, the difference, though, Joel, and this is where I'm looking at and want to get into men's discipleship.
Yeah. Okay.
But I want to go through it through your family. And you mentioned abortion and education, a couple other things, calling out Black Democratic people.
Yeah.
So, but there's something about a group of guys. There's something about the synergy of being there next to each other.
Oh, yeah.
For instance, like Vietnam, we're going to do this webinar out of our studios in September to Vietnam, but I'm doing it because of leaders that I sat down and had dinner with.
Yeah, good.
In Hanoi and in Ho Chi Minh.
Absolutely.
So yeah, things have fundamentally changed in that sense.
Yeah.
But some of those things, personal interaction.
See, and this is the deal. Like, I'm a musician, okay, and I've lived in the time where synthesizers have come. You know, now if you've ever been to the symphony, you know that synthesizers don't replace the symphony.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so what you do is a new technology comes and you take advantage of it without losing the value of the old order. But you got to change. See what I'm saying? So it's not either or, it's both and. And so now you and I got to figure a way, okay, to get back in each other's presence, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because the platform has changed, and there's value in me calling you up 8 o'clock in the morning and saying, hey, man, God has you on my mind. What's going on? And you say, man, I've got this revelation, or God spoke this thing to me. I say, can you preach that to my church this morning? And man, hey, I'd love to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you go on and I call some other people and tell them what's up. And you preach in 50 churches this morning. And everybody gets the same word at the same time. That's amazing. You know what I'm saying? And you don't get to finish it. Not gone.
That is amazing, and yet there's still that gathering together, right? So it's not one or the other.
Yeah, we got to figure out how to do it. We keep our values, but we realize that, how can I say it? Let me say it this way. One guy, the first COVID Sunday, okay, when we were meeting online, right?
Yeah.
One pastor who runs about 150, one of his people hit their share button. Okay, 89 people joined the service.
Over and above his normal 150.
Over and above.
That's like 89 guests showed up.
Yeah.
In a church of 150. That's just great. You're right.
See, and what I'm saying is the power in that. We have to tap into that.
Yeah.
Especially while we can. And so you and I've got to be smart enough to say, hey, man, we need to meet. We need to meet in each other's presence at least once a year. You see what I'm saying? And we do that intentionally, but at the same time, we take advantage of all this other stuff that's been there. It's been there all the time. We didn't use it until we were forced into it.
You know, I want to sidetrack somewhere.
Yeah.
Just because friends of ours, people that are tuning in who will see this over the next few days that don't know you and are just meeting you, I want them to get the full dimension of you.
Okay.
You planted this church, Christian Life Center, in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Got radically saved as a young musician.
Right.
Came to Christ, started a church, ended up, the first time I met you, you had just found a new facility. And it was a small little building, but you had a few hundred people, but you were right across the street from the largest porn
center of the city,
center in the region.
Yep.
And you had that XXX like neon. With
yep.
And
that's how we told people where the church was.
Yeah, well, tell that one.
Yeah. I was trying to tell a guy where we were. He said, man, I can't place that. I said, we're across from the adult bookstore and the strip joint. He said, oh, okay, yeah, I know where you are.
I know where you are.
I'm like, okay, we won't deal with that. I'll let that slide, you know.
But my deal is, man, you did it. We did it. And then the marriage came apart.
Yep.
Your elders knew why that happened.
Right.
Church, they embraced you and your children.
Right.
3 kids, a boy and 2 girls.
Yep.
Twins. And in fact, I love some of the stories. You'd bring the kids to church on a Sunday morning, and a couple of the ladies would say, Pastor, let's take your daughters aside for a moment. We're gonna fix their hair up.
Yeah, man. I'd have an Afro puff here in the front, one in the back, one on the side. It was really, really bad. I'm not one of those fathers who learned how to do that good. I was really bad at it. Mm-hmm.
But my point is that they came around you because they knew the circumstances.
They knew the circumstances, yeah,
of why that happened, and they knew that you'd been an honest and truthful and faithful man.
Yep.
So now that happens in the middle of trying to build a church.
Right. In the middle of a Promise Keepers movement.
In the middle of the Promise Keepers movement.
Yeah. Yep.
And you got connected with my dad and Christian Men's Network.
Yep.
And then you met Yvonne.
Mm-hmm.
Yvonne, educator out of the East Coast, right?
Yep.
And how long ago was that?
Let's see. We met the same year as 9/11, so that's an easy one. 2001.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys got married. You've been married 18 years roughly.
Yes, going on it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. She brought 3 children.
Yep.
Okay, so that gives you 6.
Mm-hmm.
Which I remember
is enough.
Oh man, I thought 3 was pretty good, and I got 6. Yep. And 3 grandchildren now.
4.
And then your brother is incarcerated, right?
Yeah, he was incarcerated. Yeah,
he was. And then you found out you had a young man that was going into the state system.
Yeah, he was in it.
He was in it.
Yeah.
But he was your nephew.
He was my brother had a son that we kind of got whispers about. We didn't really know. And so when he was incarcerated, also the kid's mom was incarcerated. And so one of those Christian social workers, went way over and beyond the call of duty to find his kid's parents. And found my parents, who were still alive at the time. And my parents told Yvonne and I, and about 3 months after we got married, he was in our house. Yeah. And about a year later, the adoption went through. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember you saying, it's a matter of identity. You said a Brooks is not going to be in state care.
Not going to happen.
I'll take him.
Yep.
Then you find out he's got a brother.
Well, what happens is his mother who's not related to me, the kid's mom, had another kid, okay, and now this kid was in the system, okay. This is years later, because we got Preston when he was 6, and several years later, this other brother showed up. By the time he showed up, I'm 55, okay, and I'm like, I'm good, man, you know, but he had nobody. And I said, God, I don't even know if it's your will. Okay. But help me with this. Just help me. Just help me with this.
Wow.
And this kid is our musical director now.
At what age though?
12.
At 12.
Yep. I mean, he's good.
He's incredible. I saw a video of him playing keyboards with a jazz group.
Yeah.
Was that about
jazz orchestra? Yep.
Yeah. A year ago or something?
Yeah. Yeah, up until COVID, he was in a jazz orchestra, jazz band.
He started into that when he was 11, right?
Yeah. Oh man, maybe 10. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I've seen him play.
He's really good now.
Now you have 8 children.
So now I have 8. Yes.
You haven't heard about any others that.
No, man. We called up the mom and we said, "Please stop. Please cut it off here." And so she fought the first one, but the second one she just signed on for him to be with his brother. Yep.
She had her own issues and stuff.
Oh yeah,
and thank God you were there, because now we've got young people. And the reason I bring that out, because it gives more of a dimension of who you are. Because sometimes we can say, "Oh, well, look at him. He's got a big church, a significant staff. He's got all, and he's pontific." But you're living in the real world.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Fully dimensioned.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that Brent, the battle is still there.
Yeah.
You got the blended family, you got adoption, you got all of it, so fighting through it.
Now, one of the things that I wanted to get into was masculinity.
Okay, good.
In the world in which we live.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you talk about being cool and all that and trying to be, chilled and be accepted, really what it is, I want to be accepted.
That's it. Yeah.
Really, more than anything, it's I don't want to be rejected. In other words, I don't want to feel negative. Reading Dan Crenshaw's book called Fortitude, and he says we live in such a safe world.
Wow.
He said that most of us have not seen adversity, so we don't know how to handle it when it does come.
That's good.
In other words, he said America's gotten soft.
Yep.
Speak about safety. I was talking with Judy and I were talking with somebody the other day. It's been a few months ago. And they were telling us a part of the issues with diseases in our culture today is we've become too clean. And so what are you talking about?
Wow. Yeah.
And she said that it used to be, I remember back when I was a kid, there wasn't all this safe stuff and there were no seat belts. You just got thrown in the back seat. And not that any of that was good or that it's bad to have seat belts, but the fact is, she said that we've antisepticed, if that's a word, we've just cleaned things to the point that we're not building our immune system.
Yep.
So the immunologists, when they look at things, we've gotten things so pristine. It's the helicopter parents, man.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the biggest issue that a lot of corporate America has with hiring young people is their parents calling them going, "Hey, I just wanted to tell you about this," or "I don't understand why this happened," or helicopter parents being there. I mean, who walks home from school anymore?
Yeah, that's true.
Unless you're a block away. And what's interesting is over the last 30 years, crime towards school children in that sense has actually gone down. And yet we've made it a bigger thing. So let me ask you about masculinity. Do you feel like we're on the right direction? Do you think masculinity's gotten soft, and what do we need to do to correct all this, Joel?
Well, I think, how can I say it? A wise man will hear and increase learning. And so if you're wise, you have to go through less. Okay. But I think we have to understand and be able to contextualize crisis and the stuff that we're going through. And it's almost as if there's a feminine reaction to everything in our society. You know, so a guy kills a couple people. Well, what did he, you know, what was on his mind? What was he thinking? Well, ultimately, you don't get to kill people. You just don't.
Right.
Okay. Whatever's on your mind, you are still responsible for what you do. And so the whole accountability, responsibility piece that allows us to live together, that's taking a back seat to, well, let's get in touch with their feelings. Let's find out what they're feeling. And you know, and that's a secondary issue. You have to be in control of yourself.
Yeah.
The only thing you can legally control is you. And so now as a man, I want everything I touch to be better. Okay. To me, masculinity allows us to have a free society. Okay. Because if I need to protect, I protect. If I need to enable or empower somebody, I do that. I do whatever is necessary to make life better and livable in my society. Okay. If you're evil, I'm an enemy. If you're not evil, I'm the best friend, the best enemy you can have. The best friend, the worst enemy you could have, depending upon your posture toward me, my family, and society. Okay. And so I take the lead. If I get married, if my wife wants to work, she can work. If she doesn't want to work and she wants to pursue an acting career, she can do that. I have to work. Okay. I don't believe my wife should have to work. I believe I'm a provider. And because I'm the man, it doesn't mean that providing defines me. It's just my responsibility.
What I do.
Yeah, it's just what So I protect, I provide, I lead, I guide. I have a vision. I take into account the giftings and the wiring that my wife has, that my kids have, and I try to make sure everybody is their very best. Okay, that they become the very best person they could be. And I'm responsible for setting the platform now.
Wow.
Okay, and so my world, my family, my neighborhood, everything should be better because I exist. Okay. And to me, that's what masculinity is. It's not just being able to climb a mountain or being in the rough, but it's having the fortitude, the strength, the toughness, the wisdom to make life better for everybody that comes in my world.
You know, to me, now you're a musician background, you're an artist. Yep. And so to me, it is as masculine, or if you will, as much of a fight. In other words, sometimes we take the warrior thing. We say, hey, man, men are supposed to be warriors. And then all we do is we put camo on a guy and expect him to be a better, man. Yeah. Yeah. It's not about that. I think fighting the cultural fight, if you will, of truth. Yep. It's as important to write great music or to write a movie or to run for city council as it is to climb a mountain or build a motorcycle. I see a lot of that. I see a lot of, which I think is cool. I've got some friends who are doing that. I think it's great. So I think it's fully orbed. I think it has to be much larger. And the cultural fight is to be the man I'm supposed to be in the sphere of influence that God has put me and called me to. Yeah. And it shouldn't get smaller. It should get bigger.
And realize that there's different battlefields.
Yeah.
There's the war battlefield with the guns and but there's also, look at the nerds. They're running everything.
Well, they're the wealthiest people in the world.
But when you talk about warriors, these guys have changed everything. Who is shaping society now? It's professors and the media. If I had it to do all over again, I'm not sure I'd even be a preacher, because that's not where it happens. Now, as a preacher, I can influence the nerds, I can influence the educators, I can influence the media people. See what I'm saying? Yeah. But that's where it's happening. And what I'm telling people, because I need to round out what I said about the whole Democratic thing, what I'm saying to people is, since you're going to vote Democrat and you know it, okay, I don't want you to vote for somebody you hate. That's not going to happen. Okay?
That's not the point, yeah.
But just hold your party responsible to what's good for you. or that you won't vote. You don't have to ask for anything. You determine who wins. Trump did not win because of all of the what did they say? The racist people came out to vote. Trust me, Obama would have drawn those people out to vote. The math does not work there. Okay, so Trump is not president because of a racist America. He's president because black people didn't vote for him, didn't vote for Hillary. And the night of the election, we knew that. But ever since then, it's been Russia. Okay, because they refuse to empower that group. And so I'm empowering them. I'm telling you, you are the most powerful voting group on earth. Get what you need. Don't ask nobody for nothing. Demand it. Demand that we have school choice. Demand that we have nationwide internet. I should be able to get on the internet the way I get on the freeway. Everybody should have access to it. Okay, you can get rid of the digital divide right there. If I'm given school choice, I'll go to a school that gives me a computer. I'll get on the nationwide internet, and right there, you've solved a big problem.
Wow.
And that's what the Democrats ought to be doing for black people, because they can't win without them. And so I'm not saying vote Republican. I'm saying you guys are the most powerful voting bloc on earth. Get what you want, man. You're Christians. Put that, you don't believe in abortion. Come on, you believers. And it hurts black people. So what is it you've been promised?
More than any other group.
Yeah, what have you been promised that's worth that? Nothing. And so what I'm saying, and if you read the book Outliers, I think it is, Malcolm Gladwell, he talks about the difference, okay, that poor people don't hold systems accountable.
Wow.
See, and that other people who are successful, people who have a culture of success, hold systems accountable. Mm-hmm. You are paying the system to teach your kid. So I should know before Christmas that he's failing. I should know before Thanksgiving that the boy's not doing good. See, so what are we going to do about this? I don't know math. So what tutor are you going to get it? You're getting $8, $10, $12, $14,000 a year to educate my kid. So what are you going to do? I need a weekly report. Pin it to his label if you need to, like when he was in kindergarten. But I need to know how he's doing. But rather than do that, we're ashamed because we don't really know how to talk in those circles. We don't know how to hold them accountable. Well, you got somebody in your church that can. Paul, they were getting ready to flunk one of my twins, okay? And that was going to be devastating. That might have taken her out, okay? Mm-hmm. And so they said, well, Mr. Brooks, we need a conference with you. The principal, assistant principal, the psychologist, the reading specialist. Well, this is a gang up, And so I took in a lady who had a doctorate in education from our church. So I walk in with her, and they're like, well, who is this? I said, well, this is Dr. So-and-so. She's a friend of the family, and she's just here to get involved in the discussion. Well, the whole atmosphere changed, okay? And so they said, well, we're kind of concerned about your daughter as she moves into 4th grade. And so the lady with me said, well, have you tested this? Well, no, we haven't tested that. Well, how do you know this if you don't know that? Now, I checked out because I don't know nothing about what any of them are talking about. But I have an advocate. Wow. See what I'm saying? Well, and after about 4 of those, how do you know this if you don't know that? The whole tenor changed, and we went into some testing. She went into 4th grade with her sister. They both graduated from Clark at the same time. But that was going to devastate her because she's a little harder to teach than the other ones. And we don't want people that's hard to teach. We want to be able to throw it up on the board and you get it.
It's just done. Yeah.
But
we have a certain thing. Everybody fits in the box.
But you have somebody in your church that knows that system.
Wow.
You're dealing with a system now. And so you don't have the language, you don't know how to fight that system, but get over the shame of one of your kids struggling and get somebody to get you some help with systems. See, and that's what I'm telling people. Hold the Democrats responsible for your vote. Make your vote more expensive.
Yes.
Why are we talking about abortion in a country full of Christians? See, I believe there ought to be Christians in both parties, and we need to take some of this demonic stuff off the platforms. Let's talk about taxes. Let's argue about that. Let's fight about taxes. Let's fight about regular stuff. Man, we can't fight about killing babies. And so that's what I'm doing that on Sunday mornings. I'm doing it. I'm out there. I need prayer because it's cost me people in the past. And so I just kind of stayed in spiritual things, But then this last thing that happened with George Floyd, I feel like there's leadership needed. I feel like some kind of sane voice has to step out. This is what you do. You can't get rid of the police. You can't disband the police. You got to win the police. You only have, so on one hand, you pass laws to make them accountable, but on the other hand, you win them. You help them. How can we help you with what you're doing? He who wins souls is wise. You see what I'm saying? And then, of course, the foundation of it is praying in the spirit and dealing with all this ugliness in the spirit. But we know we don't wrestle with flesh and blood. And so the enemy is using the police against us. How do we win them? How do we get them to see it our way? Because
wisdom is concerned with the end result.
End result, see, man. And so I tell people, I say, man, you guys are doing stuff without an end result in mind. See, and so what do you reacting? Yes, what do you want? One of the biggest questions.
So that's the feminization you're talking about. It's all based on feelings and emotions.
Feelings, emotions. What do you want? Because you can't win a person you're pissed off at. If I can say it that way. Yeah. I can't win you while I'm mad at you. If I'm mad at you, I just want to defeat you. Well, what does defeating you look like? See, so what do you really want? Let's say these guys, the Bible says they're ministers. Okay, so let's win them. I can start a new church, but I can't start a new police force. See, and so let's win them and get the people inside to challenge the culture. See, you can speak truth to my people, but you can't change the culture of my church. I got to do that. See, and so let's change the culture of policing, and let's go forward because we need.
The culprit's the culprit.
Yeah. Whenever I pull up next to an officer, I have him roll down his window. I say, man, I'm praying for you. Praying for you today. You got a dangerous job. And I'm praying that I pray every day that you get back to your family. See what I'm saying? Why? Because I want to get rid of stuff. I want to get rid of the cycle. I want to get rid of the you versus me. Because that's not a good battle to have in a nation. Well, the police and the citizens don't get along with each other. And I'm telling the police, man, they got cameras. Even a good arrest look bad on camera. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
The cheese has moved, I know I'm talking a lot, but
I love this. Well, that was the point. That's why I called you.
Yeah.
I love this. If you're wise, you go through less crap.
Yeah.
I wrote it down that way. You didn't quite say it that way, but
because a wise man will hear.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that was Proverbs today, 30. Purpose of the wilderness is to change values.
Yeah, change your taste. Yep. Change your values.
And the fight, this is the one that hit me. The fight that we're in right now is the enemy wants to take away God's fingerprint on the earth.
Absolutely, man. He hates him. He wants to remove it. Anything God is for, the enemy is against. Well,
that's it. So we're in a fight.
Mm-hmm.
It's remember that old Billy Joel song? It was one of his first ones. No, it was a little later. We didn't start the fire.
Oh yeah.
It was always burning.
Yeah.
Since the world started turning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the issues, these are not new issues.
They're not, man.
Yeah, these are fundamental human issues that have been around forever. It's just we didn't have Facebook and
right,
all these things, TikTok and everything to kind of spread stuff. It's fascinating to me how people can get behind their little social emoji, and scream and yell.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's a pastor You probably know him. I can't pull his name up, but he's in Houston. And he's one of these pastors of a really large church. And he was one of the 5 guys that the mayor, who was a gay female mayor at the time, wrote and said, I want you to submit your sermon to me.
Yeah. I remember
That's
that.
what they want, Paul. That's where this is headed. You know, yeah. And I'm saying, well, God will get us through it if we go through it, if we go through it. But who wants to live like that? Who wants to go? I don't want to go through that. I don't need that kind of stuff to be on fire for God. Okay.
Yeah, it was, today's the 29th. So Proverbs 29, I read it this morning. I was looking it back up. Verse 11, and I'm reading the Passion Translation.
Okay. Yeah. I need to get one of those.
Yeah. It's some of it is like, but it leans into, you would love it because you basically started an organization called the Romantic Warrior.
Yes. Yep.
So the Passion Translation, and speaking particularly, that came out of your studies of David, which is another.
Yep. Oh man. Yep.
But verse 11, Proverbs 29, you can recognize fools by the way they give full vent to their rage and let their words fly.
Yep. Wow.
But the wise bite their tongue and hold back all they could say.
Right. And
then here's the other one that finishes what you were saying. When there is no clear prophetic vision, people quickly wander astray. But when you follow the revelation of the word, heaven's bliss fills your soul. And this is really what you've been talking about to us for the last, it's been an hour. Every time I talk to you, man, it's like, first of all, I'm gonna look like a genius when I start sharing this stuff.
Hey, man.
I got pages of notes, but every time we talk,
I've got so much from you and your world, man. It's not.
The time just flies by. But the fact is, it is an attack on the Word of God.
It's an attack on the Word, man.
And the Word is our base, not a system, not a personality. If we tie ourselves to a personality and say, I'm for this guy, because of his personality, that shifts and changes. What's fundamental is the Word of God. Truth, righteousness, mutual respect, human dignity. Those are basics that we should be able to agree on, no matter where we come from, right? But anarchists don't want to agree on it. And I say anarchists, I don't mean just left. I mean left and right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And it doesn't behoove their cause to agree.
Nope.
And it doesn't help them vent their stuff to agree.
They just want to tear it up.
Yeah. So basically it comes down to it's a both of those places on both sides are really filled with rage, and rage comes out of lust.
Wow. Okay.
And lust of the eye and pride of life. Yeah. And lust is never satisfied.
Never satisfied.
So you can't.
Man, that is so powerful, that statement. It explains so much,
It's why you can't negotiate with the guys in downtown Seattle.
Yeah.
They keep negotiating. The boundaries shift and change. Well, what do you guys want? Well, we want this. Well, then 2 days later, we want something different. Well, this guy shot a guy, but we want him out of jail. Why? Because we feel like that's because he's a good guy.
Wow.
Nobody shot a guy. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
lawlessness.
But obviously some of this, all of it comes out of, and in fact, again, okay, here we go. Verse 27, Proverbs 29. So today's proverb.
Okay, yeah.
The wicked hate those who live a godly life.
Right.
But the righteous hate injustice wherever it's found.
Wow. Good. Yeah, that's good.
That's the last verse in Proverbs 29. The righteous hate injustice. If there's anybody that should be able to make things right, it's people who are followers of the Word of God.
Yes,
followers
it
of
is.
Christ. Because we're not basically holden to any particular system. We are people who are people of the Word of God.
Yep. And we have to know that the Word is shaped for difficult times.
Jesus was born in the middle of terrorist occupation.
Yeah, it's made for that, and that can we expect anybody else to solve this but ourselves? We have access to the wisdom of God. We have access to the spiritual realm. We can bind, we can loose. We can. You know what I'm saying? We have the stuff, and so we've got to be smart enough to realize that we don't wrestle with flesh and blood. Okay. And that forgiveness is one of the things that allows me to see the kingdom. Okay. Unforgiveness blinds me. I get offended. And my definition of offended is whenever I am blinded to the God in a situation or on a person. Okay. And so, so when I don't see God's assignment on you, okay, I'm offended, whether it's through familiarity because I know you, I know your faults, I know your weaknesses, or even if you say something that offends me. The whole purpose of offense is that I not see God on you anymore, and I don't benefit from the God on you that was sent to me. Wow. If that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. And so the purpose of offense is not just what happened between the two people or the two groups. It's to blind one or both groups to God's power, God's help, and the fact that He's the answer. Okay. And so what I'm telling people, I'm not saying forgive as being the sheep led to the slaughter. I'm saying forgive so that you can keep your power, so that you can keep your binding, loosing, speak to it, speak to the mountains. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where the action is in the spirit.
That's it.
The flesh and blood part is just people walking out something. If we can break this thing in the spirit and yet have a strategy that makes us relevant to actually solve this stuff, because you got to be relevant. Okay. We can't just say, well, let's just let go and let God. No, this is what we're going to do. Okay. We broke the spirit of this thing in the heavens. Now this is what we're going to do. Okay. We're going to engage our policemen.
I'm with you, man. I wonder if maybe all of this is about the hoop isn't coming back.
The hoop, what?
The hoop is not coming back.
The hoop.
You know what I'm saying? Just the preaching and the stuff that happens on the platform and all the stuff that we tend to celebrate. I think you'll have that in a corner. Yeah.
Like you have mom and pop grocery stores in a corner, but the real business is going to be going on in other places. See, the thing that the internet changes is the platform.
Yeah.
The gift set. What works in an auditorium with 5,000 people is different than what works between you and I sitting here. See, and so the show is over. As far as I'm concerned, the show is over. Now let's get down and deal with some truth.
That's awesome, man. Let's get kids educated. Let's make the world a better place. We've got to have that dream. Yeah. See, that's my deal. And that's why I love talking to you, because every time I get fired up, and one of my underlying premises for my life is that we need to recapture the dream that the world can be a better place.
Absolutely, man.
And I believe that when Jesus comes back, it's not just, Jesus didn't come to take us from here to heaven. He came to bring heaven to earth. And when he comes back, I believe, Joel, he comes back how could we present a bride to him?
Yeah.
That's jacked up, messed up, emaciated, barely hanging on, saying, hey, here's your bride, Jesus.
Right.
I believe the church is the hope of the world, and I believe that we need to have a bride that's robust, strong, powerful, full of men and women that are full of the Holy Spirit, the fire of God, that have changed nations, changed continents, changed cities by the power of their prayer and works, faith and works. Yep. Remember C.S. Lewis said, faith and works is like scissors. Which one's the most important blade?
Oh, man, that's good. I never heard that. That's good, though.
C.S. Lewis, faith and works. Which one's the most important blade? Both.
Yeah, both.
How you got to cut things? Faith and works. Get busy. And I've loved that about this, what's been going on during all this COVID stuff and the Wuhan virus, is churches feeding people by the thousands. You guys have been doing a food program.
Yep.
I watched Matt Barnett. Do you see him out there fed 685,000 people or something like that?
No, man, that's crazy.
85,000 meals.
That's in LA, right?
Yeah, that's a guy in LA, Matt Barnett with the Dream Center. And then John Siebling down there in Memphis, they had over 700,000 meals they did. Shoot, my friend Seth Brooks in Northeast Portland, they fed 2,000. This is a church. I don't know what he's got in his church, 160 people.
Wow.
But he's got high impact because they fed 2,000 people last Saturday.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, think about that.
That's a lot of people.
Being smart, using the wisdom of God, getting stuff done. Yep. And, it's kind of like this, Joel. What's hit me in this whole deal is I can just see this committee meeting where it's like, hey, domestic violence is on the increase, like it's spiking. We've got divorces happening. It's on a rise. Child abuse is just gone stratospheric in all of this. We got rioters in the streets. What do we do? And somebody on the committee says, well, why don't we open the hardware stores? And another guy goes, yeah, and close the churches. And everybody on the committee goes, great idea.
Wow.
Because that's essentially what we did. But the beauty of it that it's forced us to do is go onto the internet, do things, like with our Monday Night Men, like tonight with our Monday Night Men. And finishing up Strong Men in Tough Times.
Wow.
We had thought we might do that a year from now. I came back from Peru, caught that last flight out of Peru.
The last flight, yeah.
Dude, it was 2 a.m. and the lady next to me is sniffling the whole way home.
Oh, man.
And I thought, for sure, I'm catching this thing. And I'd just been in Hong Kong and Vietnam and Indonesia with our Christian Men's Network teams there. Yeah. Anyway, the point is that within about 10 days, we pivoted everything.
Yep.
We got a mutual friend, Mike Mueller, out of Elma, Washington, and he said, we hadn't done. See, you'd already been thinking online. Mm-hmm. You've been thinking equipment and stuff, and how do I reach people? And Mike's out there in a smaller community out in the countryside of Southern Washington. Mm-hmm. And he's just doing church. He's a businessman, great pastor. And so that first Sunday where they had to go online, all he had was his son's iPad. Yeah. So they stuck the iPad in the back. They did the church up on the stage.
Oh, man. That's the rough way to do it.
And all of us said, hey, Mike, man, you were like this big. You were this big. Now he's investing in cameras and all this stuff, but check it out. His attendance tripled.
Right.
With an iPad.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Yep.
I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. Joel, I love you, man. I've kept too much of your time. I know you.
No, man, it's been fun. I love it. Let's do it again sometime.
Yeah, no, I want to do it more often. And we've got the equipment. I don't know if you saw that. We had Ollie North on a week ago, Chris Broussard with the NBA, Fox Sports. Our friend Otto Kelly out of Reno. And then we did some studio interviews and we did 2 hours live. Yeah. And basically that's right out of the Christian Men's Network studios. So I'm headed there right now. We're going to finish up some podcasts. In fact, Chris Broussard will be on starting tomorrow on Brave Men. Yeah. Podcast. What an amazing guy. I'd love to. I want to get him, as we can meet, I want to get him in front of more of our Christian Men's Network friends.
That'd be awesome.
Because he's got a national, he's got a national radio program. He's got Fox Sports, does the NBA, he's the NBA analyst. Right. And it just is such a godly man. And by the way, just his 2 daughters just graduated from college. And so he's kind of where you were a few years ago as your graduated there in Atlanta. And, so he's a joy-filled man, but I want you to meet him sometime. Anyways, good, so we're there in the studios doing the stuff. We're doing some podcasts today. We're doing some opens and closes. I'm going to do some interviews like this. And but we weren't doing that before. Right. So it's pivoted everything, man.
It has. It has, man.
Pivoted everything. Joel, I love you. Our best to Yvonne. You know, we're praying that the Lord
Same to you.
continue to increase your footprint and your significant influence.
Thank you, man.
Across the nation. Ideas have consequences, and
that's good.
The Lord's given you a unique insight and ability to use the wisdom the Lord put in you. If you will, your music background, to me, talking to you is like talking to a full string symphony, man.
Man, that's a real compliment.
Coming, and it's coming from a whole different place.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there's an oboe. All of a sudden, we're talking this. Here's this thing over there.
Same here, man, with you. Same. It's always, you always give me another perspective, another way of seeing
those timpanis hit, man.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Joel, I love you, brother. Thank you for being on.
Love you too, man.
And I'll talk to you again this week because I got to talk to you about some stuff
okay.
With the NFL.
Okay. Have you talked to our brother from Indonesia lately?
Yeah, I just checked with him last week, Eddie. Okay.
If you think about it, next time you talk to him, he was working on something. He was going to send me a book he was working on. I think it's called Ecclesia, maybe.
Yeah, Ecclesia. He finished it.
Did he?
Yeah.
Hey, tell him I need one. Okay.
I'll get you a copy. We'll hook you up.
Cool. And if it's on electric, let me know if it's electric. If it's electronic, and I can just download it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah, he's Eddie Leo. He
wrote
the book. In fact, Leonard Sweet, our friend Lynn Sweet, who's an incredible theologian, semiotician, all that, said that Eddie Leo has probably the kingdom of heaven, ecclesia. He said he probably has a better grasp of that as a theologian of any person he's ever talked to.
Wow. If Lynn said that, that's a big deal.
Yeah, Lynn said that. Lynn said he's probably one of the preeminent theologians in the world today. And Eddie, all he is, as far as he's concerned, is just a soul winner.
Right, yeah.
I asked him, how's the church going? He said, well, we're growing. I thought it's a church with 230,000 people.
Right.
And he said, we're growing.
Good. Ain't that something? That's awesome.
It's fantastic.
Hey, being in your world puts me around those kind of people, man. I've always appreciated that.
Love you, man. See you. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.